Justice Holmes said, "The life of the law has not been logic, it's been experience, the felt necessities of the time, the felt moral and political theories." If he's correct, maybe that explains so much of the give and take throughout American history over what is right and wrong about our laws and their application, a thing we call justice. The law. Learn about it from people who practice it and apply it. This program is about law through the eyes and work of lawyers and judges in our community and its impact on our citizens. We hope you'll find the discussions and information here useful, thought-provoking, and even entertaining.
When brothers John Mitchell and Wright Mitchell began law practice in the heart of Dalton in 1924, they instilled an ethic of service with honor and integrity that approaches 100 years. Lawyers serving people is who we are, whether serious bodily injury or work injuries, wills, real estate closings, family law, criminal law, services to local governments, Social Security and veterans claims, or business and contract law. We are here to serve.
I'm Terry Miller, and this is Law Talk. For those of us who have family members that are aging or ourselves hope to be aging or in the class known as elder citizen, our guest today should be quite interesting. David McGuffey is in private practice here in Dalton, Georgia, concentrating his practice in the field of elder care. He's a certified attorney of the National Elder Law Foundation. We're going to ask him in just a moment what that means. David, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Several questions. The area of elder law, when I started practicing 34 years ago, existed, but it wasn't emphasized as it has been in the last decade. And this is an enhanced area of practice for lawyers, and you concentrate your entire practice in the area. Tell us what you deal with on a day-to-day basis in terms of clients and in case advice.
Well, the focus of my practice is helping people who are trying to deal with chronic illnesses, and that could be for someone who is older, and that's always going to be a controversial thing. People ask, am I an elder? And it depends. I guess you could look at the AARP membership guidelines and find that someone 50 or older might be an elder, but we're looking primarily at people who are beginning to have chronic problems, chronic health problems, and they're dealing with capacity issues. They're trying to figure out, how do I manage my affairs? They're dealing with health care issues, which is really one of the big ones that people come see me about. How do I pay for home health care? How do I pay for assisted living care or nursing home care? I also am a member of the Special Needs Alliance, and we do work for families who have younger disabled children who are also dealing with the same issues.
The area you work in and interface touches every family.
It does.
In our area. By the way, David is a graduate of the Georgia State University College of Law, admitted to the bar in Georgia in 1993. You're also a member of the State Bar of Tennessee and the Michigan Bar. In numerous committees, work with several nursing care facilities. I noticed, I can't mention it all. But let me ask you, you're certainly well qualified to answer this question for us. One of the most frequent questions I've received in 34 years of practice is by families that come in and say, Dad is going to be needing nursing home care, we know it, in the next year, but he has some assets. What do we do about those? Today I know that there's some do's and don'ts generally that families need to take into consideration. Can you just say generally how families should approach that issue?
Generally, I would, there is a quote that is attributed to both Patton and to Stonewall Jackson. It's never take counsel from your fear. My number one piece of advice to families is do not act out of fear. Come and see a lawyer that knows what they're doing and act with a plan. Because there are some do's and don'ts. If, for example, you were trying to get nursing home care paid for, there are really 4 ways to get it paid for. The first is with your money. And frankly, that's what people don't want to do. They don't want to spend their money.
But that's a good problem to have sometimes.
It's a good problem to have. One issue you have, if you have the wealth and and if you're willing to spend the money, you get a lot more choices. But that's one option. The second option would be long-term care insurance. If people have purchased long-term care insurance, then they have more choices, and you're not paying because the insurance company is. The third option is Medicare, but it's only going to pay for approximately 100 days, and it can be less than that because it's linked to a rehabilitation benefit within the Medicaid statute. The Medicaid goal is to get you out of the expensive hospital as quickly as possible, and it's only going to pay if you need skilled therapy for that full 100 days. So that even if you're using Medicare, you're limited, and if somebody's going to a nursing home and they're going to stay there, and they don't have insurance and they don't have money, then we're looking at Medicaid, and Medicaid has rules that punish you for giving away your stuff, trying to become poor enough to qualify.
You really need an attorney that knows what they're doing
You do.
to help understand the spend down requirements
And
in the state of Georgia, correct?
You do, and the rules change all the time. There are at least 4 major rule changes every year.
And no criticism of the Department of Human Resources. I tried to work with these with a family a year or so ago, and I didn't find, while I found the people at the Department of Family and Children's Services helpful, I didn't find the written regulations very user-friendly.
They're not, and frankly, the caseworkers use the manual and that is given to them, and one of the reasons why it's confusing is sometimes, I want to say frequently, but maybe I shouldn't go that far, sometimes the manual is inconsistent with federal law. And as a lawyer, you know that federal law controls state law, and so you can have a situation where the manual is actually depriving people of rights that they have under federal law.
Wow. Oh, I can see a situation, not only would that be difficult for lay people, there are probably a lot of attorneys that really aren't coached on some of these issues.
Exactly, and I've gone to court a number of times enforcing people's rights, showing where the manual is inconsistent with federal law, getting people what they're entitled to.
Great, great. Stay tuned. After this word, we'll be back.
You work hard to make a better life for you and your family, so it's important for you to consider your estate planning needs. We at Mitchell & Mitchell approach retirement and estate planning as a lifelong process. It is essential that you have the proper advice and legal documents to protect your family's growing savings. As your children grow and your life circumstances change, it is important to review and revise your retirement or estate plan. Whether you're just starting out or well along your career path, we at Mitchell & Mitchell are here to guide you through this important process. Contact us today for a consultation.
We're back with David McGuffey on elder law. David, sometimes family members will get to a point with their mental capacity that it's difficult to prepare a will or do powers of attorney. What kind of considerations does that need to be given in terms of forward estate planning as we age?
Well, first I would say that everyone needs a will, and most lawyers can draft a simple will. I think if you have a disabled family member, you probably need to get in touch with someone who knows how to draft a special needs trust. But I would say early is better than later. The other thing I would tell people, and you know this from the law, is that capacity is a fluid concept, and someone can have different levels of capacity, and as long as someone generally knows who their relatives are, they know something about the extent of their estate, they know who they want it to go to, we can probably still do a will because we can probably find a lucid moment.
So, just because a family member comes home from the doctor with an Alzheimer's diagnosis, don't assume that that forecloses the ability to do a power of attorney or to make a will. Would that be sound statement?
Exactly, and I would go further. I would presume that we're going to continue to protect that elder's dignity and their individuality and their choices. What we do need to do is provide extra cautions or extra protections so that someone does not unfairly influence or abuse this person's fragile situation.
Let me talk about elder abuse a minute. If you're a family member, a neighbor, a friend, and you suspect there is some type of abuse of an elder, are there signs of that, or are there things that you recommend people do that are positive and constructive?
There are. First, one of the signs that people should look for is isolation. If you find an elder that used to be socially active and they're no longer socially active, you should inquire as to why. If you start seeing unexplained bruises, cuts, lacerations, you should ask why. If you're starting to see disappearing money, you should ask why. There are many other signs, and you can go to the National Elder Abuse Incident Study, which is on, you can just search that term on the web, and you'll come up with about a 60-page document that lists in detail many different signs of elder abuse. But unless you can get a good answer to why these things are happening, then you should probably call Adult Protective Services. You should call other family members that perhaps need to be alerted to what's going on. If it looks like someone's being hurt, call the Sheriff's Department or the Police Department. You can also call the District Attorney's Office. There are many different ways to get someone involved who can put a stop to abuse.
Great. Great advice. What about the person who has worked and is approaching retirement? I know my age category, I've got to be 66 now to reach full retirement under the Social Security Act. There are various extensions of that right now. There's early retirement at age 62. In addition, simply to understanding as I look out at retirement as to what my monthly benefit projection is going to be, in terms of Medicare and medical coverage, what are considerations that person seemingly in reasonable health right now needs to take into account about when to retire and about their medical coverages under Medicare?
Well, the first thing I would do if you're looking at retirement is talk to a financial advisor and get a budget together. Because if you don't know what your monthly outflow is, then you don't know if your monthly inflow is going to cover it. A budget is a powerful tool. And then with respect to the insurance, Medicare so far, knock on wood, is still going. And it's going to pay for your acute care issues. It's going to pay for your hospital, your doctor. When you turn 65, during that first 6-month period after you turn 65, there is an open enrollment period where you can go and get a supplemental policy through any number of insurance companies, and it will pay the co-pays and deductibles. That 6-month period is critical because during it there's no medical underwriting. The insurance companies cannot deny you because of a pre-existing condition. And those two pieces of the puzzle together will help you pay for your acute care problems. You should also talk with an insurance agent about long-term care insurance. We mentioned that a few minutes ago. And you should get a policy, get several quotes from an independent agent so that they can compare and contrast different policies. And you should look at how long are you going to be self-insured? Is it going to be 30 days, 90 days, or whatever? What are we going to cover? Are we going to cover home health? Are we going to cover nursing home? Are we going to give us enough choices? What are the triggering, this is the most important part, what are the triggering conditions that cause the policy to become effective?
Great. And you mentioned it, nursing home. And I know in the past you have done nursing home litigation. Question, and I also know that in a balanced way you serve in an advisory capacity to Alexian Brothers and some other nursing facilities like Ross Woods. So when we have family in the nursing home, loved ones, is there a role for the family to appropriately advocate for the patient with nursing, with administration, so as to assure a good outcome?
Absolutely. The number one thing I would say is visit and participate in the care plan meetings, because the family knows the resident much better than the nursing home does. They know their eating preferences, sleeping preferences, entertainment preferences, and those pieces of the puzzle need to be built into the plan so that we're not just doing care.
Thank you so much, David, for being with us today. And thank you for watching Law Talk. Look for us again on Charter Media.